Hello everyone, I'm Zenith, and today we're back with more Minecraft videos. You guys really seem to like train mods, so today we got another one. This is Zora no Densha. I have no idea what that name means. It's good to know that there's so many train mods out there, and you guys are so fond of them. In fact, we were thinking of doing like an entire channel based around solely train mods. I mean, there's so many of them between Rails of War, Traincraft, Zora no Densha, the Model Trains mod, and yeah, there's Railcraft, but it's got trains that are too small. Okay, yeah, the Model Trains mod. So Railcraft has normal-sized trains. We'll get to that, but the trains have to be unnecessarily large or unnecessarily small. This time, we've got nice big trains for you guys, nice big complex track that even goes diagonally, and a whole bunch of other stuff that you care less about than the trains. But we are obliged to show you anyways, so let's go over some cosmetic blocks. Alright, here we are. Basic cosmetics from this mod. Worth saying, I'm not going to be covering crafting recipes, I'm just going to be covering the items. If you want crafting recipes, go download NEI. Anyways, we have the platform block here that is, well, a platform block. There's not that much special about it. It just changes based on its environment. Up next, we've got the ballasts. These matter later. But they have two different forms. You've got the grapple ballast, which changes to match its environment and forms this nice arch here so that you can build like an authentic steam track and is affected by gravity here. And we've got concrete ballast, which is square. Yeah, guys, that's basically it. Alright, moving on, we've got two items that look eerily familiar. That's because they're basically copy-paste out of Railcraft. We have the coke oven, where you put coal in here, and you get coal coke and creosote oil. And we have the blast furnace. You put coal here, you put iron ingots here, there were iron there, I swear, and then you get steel ingots out. Alright, so with those basic blocks out of the way, we're going to move on now to my brother so he can explain to you guys the various tracks in this mod and how you place them. We've got diagonal tracks and even more than Rails of War. Here he is.
Okay, now if we look in this chest, we have all the different track items. There's a lot of them. This mod features multiple diagonal tracks, more than Rails of War actually, which is a mod we reviewed previously. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend checking it out. So I'm just going to get all these into my inventory, because these are all going to be needed in a minute. Now, as you can see, we've got blueprints, and then a whole whack of other items, such as rails and track beds. Again, I will explain that shortly. But if I hold a blueprint, you can see that it shows what it's going to build. Now, if it's red, that means that there's something obstructing where it's going to be built, you can't place it. If it's blue, that means you're good to place it. So, let's place in the first item, and as you can see it shows this. Now, what that is if I go into my inventory, we have rail beds here, and if I right click, it adds to the setup. Now, I could have used concrete rail beds, or the wooden. Now, these will actually affect certain types of rails in the future, but I'll explain that when we get there. So the next thing you need are clamps. If I add these, again, adds to the model. Now, to finish it off, you have rails. You right-click. Now, those actually look like tracks. And dang it, I hate these controls. Anyways, let's finish building this, and then just add everything all at once. So, if I add in the curve, then I can add in the next one, and there we are. Now I'm just going to remove 3 of these from my inventory, just so I have the space to hold everything. Actually, I'm going to remove all 4. So let's just bring these items into my inventory, and I'm going to go wooden rail beds on this ballast, but then, if I use the concrete, you can see that it actually merges in with the concrete here. So, let's just finish off all the track, and as you can see here, on the concrete one, the rails actually merge in with the concrete. That doesn't happen if you're using the wooden rail bed, just the concrete though. And the wooden doesn't do that, unfortunately. Anyways, let's carry on. So this one here is the 11 degrees. So, if that means straight 11 degrees. So you can see that this is the exact block setup it needs. So I can place it, and as you can see, it's now a diagonal track. This one here, 18 degrees. So let's get this track out. And again, it goes on slightly more of an angle. Now if you see, I'm going to use the wooden rail beds this time to show you what I mean by the difference. So you can see how they connect differently. Now this is 45 degrees. So this one actually only goes one block, so you require a lot. But if I right click, this one, as you can see, just goes on a diagonal. Now then, there's bumpers. So these are a bit more complex. So if I pull it down and right click, it looks slightly different. So what this is so you're placing the rail beds, get your clamps, get your rails, but then you need to add bumpers. So if I right click, it adds the end. Now, our next one, maintenance tracks. So I had to lower this one down because the way maintenance tracks are set up. So you can see the model looks a bit higher. So now what I'm going to do is pull out stilts. So you gotta add these first, and as you can see, it actually raises it up a lot. Then, your next one should be clamps. So this just adds clamps on top. Then there's the rails. So the stilts actually take the place of your rail bed, which, I guess there's 3 rail beds. Now the next one up is a crossing. So on this, I'm actually going to need my straight 4 meters. Now with the straight track at least, there are 3 different variants. 1 meter, 4 meter, and 8 meter. I'm using 4 meter just because it's the simplest, but the other ones are if you want different distances. So if I right click, places down. Now I'm going to do everything I've done normally here, except the only difference is, now that I've got that, I'm going to add crossing plates. If I right click, you can see it now has an overlay. So that's if you're trying to build crossings. Now the next one up is transition tracks. Now these are if you would like to use the standard Minecraft track. The reason that is this mod can use either its super fancy advanced ones or the standard Minecraft default, these things, track. So let's just get myself, I just need to get myself the standard straight, place that in here, and then with the transition track, the way you're facing is the way that you're going to have the normal track. That's just the way it's set up. So let's place both in, get these created now, and if you're wondering why I have different ballasts, that's just so I know the difference between them and where everything goes. Makes my life easy. So now that's done, you can see that this actually goes on a slight down slope. That's actually somewhat to account for the boring 2D texture of Minecraft track. But now if a train were to run over this, it would go onto the standard track. Now one thing to know with this is don't try going uphill with the standard Minecraft track, it doesn't work. In fact, throughout all this mod, they don't actually have up and down yet. Minor thing they're missing. Now then, the final one is a switch. Now with all of these items, if you hover over it, it says Engineer's Blueprint, switch, the degrees it's on, to what degrees it ends on, and then it'll either say nothing, like there'll be nothing there, or it'll say left or right. Now, that means which way it's going. So, if I right click, you can see that it actually splits off left. The right variant would just go the other way. Now, on the points, there's a few things you need to note. First of all, the got a block sticking out to the side. Second off, the rail bed counts. So if you use a wooden rail bed, you have to right click to swap the points. However, if you use a concrete rail bed, it has to be powered by a lever. So I'm just going to do wooden because I don't actually have a lever here to use yet. The rest, we actually have some other examples which will use them, so we can show you that later. Now as you can see, when I right click this, it actually swaps, and you can see it's nicely animated. Anyways, those are all the tracks in this game, so now we can move on to the actual trains and just a few other odds and ends that this mod contains so far.
Alright, here we are. It's time for Train Engineer Training 101. To build a train in this mod, it's a longer process than you want it to be. Anyways, we're going to need an ink sac and some paper and one of these thingies here called an engineer's table. That train there has nothing to do with it, that's just part of the model and it looks cool. If we right-click on the engineers table below, we get this interface. For those of you that have ever done 3D modeling before, you might think this looks familiar, and that's because it does. This is a 3D model editor, guys. You can make your own trains in this mod. You place an ink sac and paper in here, they're going to be important later. Then you can edit your model. We have all the options available here, including a few presets that we made and tested earlier, and by right-clicking them, you can load them into the mod. You can see it here now, and we can click through the tabs here and add extra items into the mod. We can add this to model here, and I'm not very good at model editing. I stick out of this, but we can change it and we could customize it. In this case, though, we're not going to do that. We're going to use a preset train because it's easier and it saves me having to look like a fool trying to make a model. We're going to use this freight car flats here, and if we right-click on it, because it's already a preset, we have the option to click Print. And you can see here we've got progress going on. We have the ink sac and the paper. They're going to disappear. We're going to get an engineer's blueprint. And my inventory's disappeared, so we're just going to drop that. Well, this is fun. Alright, we're going to reset this. We are not going to save our preset, but we do get to save the engineer's blueprint of the freight car. This is going to be important. Worth saying while we're in the model editor, though, if you want things to make your life easier, by right-clicking in this window, we can toggle some various features. My favorite being View and World, which creates a realistic Minecraft world environment that you can look at your train in. Let's just load an example. There we go. Doesn't that look nice, guys? Yeah? Cool. Alright, now onto the real trains. First, we're going to have to go behind the station to the maintenance yard, because that's how this train is built. Yeah, this track isn't just for decoration. Surprised me too. We're going to need a lot of items to build these trains, so let's grab those out and I'll explain how they work. Alright, when we've got our engineer's blueprint, if we right-click on our maintenance track in survival mode, there we go, we're going to get this, which looks an awful lot like the track does before you start building it. Similar basis. Once we've got this, we're going to have to add all the parts. For this particular model, it takes vehicle axes from freight vehicles, base plates, somehow, there we go, more base plates, more base plates than that, more base plates than you thought we did, basic text, a screw coupler at each end, there we go, and to finish it all off, we add the round buffers. If it will... Okay, this isn't wanting to work. There we go. It's a little bit picky about its hitboxes, so be warned. Alright, once we've got this completed, we can break the train and we will get an actual copy of the train. If we destroyed it at any earlier stage, we would just get a drop of all the individual items. Alright, it seems we have a bug where the item disappeared, but you guys get the picture. You're supposed to get the item in your inventory, and from there you'd be able to place it down on normal tracks, and you'd be able to drive it. Worth mentioning at this point that coupling is not fully working, but it's being worked on, and I imagine they'll have it in a soon release. Alright, just give me a second here to get set up. Up next is driving actual trains. Alright, here we are. I'm ready to go. We've got our driver's key here, and this is the item that we're going to need if we want to drive them, and we've got a locomotive. For this video, I just used the default BR01 pre-made preset, and yeah, we're just going to use that. To get into the train, we first have to shift and right-click where the door is, and it will open up. Then, by right-clicking with the driver's key in our inventory in our primary hand this entire time, we can get in. And the door closes again. Once we're inside a train, we get a nice view, and we have some basic controls. To go forward, press the W key. Be careful, as this mod does like to accelerate and has fairly realistic train physics. It's actually quite impressive in that regard. Now, to slow down, you might think that is the S key, but you'd be wrong. In order to slow down, you're actually going to be pressing the X key, and that will slow the train down and or put it in reverse if you like. If you want to stop the train, you press the V key and it will activate the brake. I have no idea what the sound is in the background, but it's going to activate the emergency brake in a minute for some reason. To take the brake off, though, you're going to want to press the R key. And you're going to want to center it. If you go any further than that, you will actually end up going backwards, as I'm showing here. We're going to put the brake on again. And we're going to get going. Worth mentioning that the H key does have a horn, but there's no bells as far as I could find, unfortunately. It's a shame this mod couldn't just have all the bells and whistles. Alright, here we are at the next part of this mod that we're going to look at. That is the train crossings and the signals. With this, it's off to my brother.
Okay, so because this mod is all about automation, it also has crossings. Now, with crossings, that means it's got these nice additions to tracks, it's got some crossing barriers, it's got the lights, and it's got a whole whack of machinery to go with it that should eventually be able to automate it. So, the first thing we've got here is called a contact. This is designed to go under a piece of track, and it'll detect when a train drives over. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't fully work. So, you can still run this manually without that, but it's a shame it doesn't work, as that would have been cool. Anyways, to show you how this works, this is a server box. To open the server box, right-click with the driver's key. Then if you right-click, you can open its menu, which at first glance looks like a mess. I'll get back to that. Anyways, let's add a crossing barrier. So I'm going to place it down, make sure you orient it the right way. Then, using the crossing workers tool, right-click it, then shift right-click the server box if it's open. So you'll see starting link established. So that means it's been successfully connected. So if I open the server box by right-clicking, this button where my cursor is over is the activation button. So if I click this, you can see the first light in this inventory lights up. So that means it gives you a warning for 100 ticks. Then for another 100 ticks, every light's red. After that, everything goes down. So that would be while the train's going by, and this has been set to be down for 500 ticks. And it makes a really darn annoying noise. So as you can see, second light's lit up when it's running on it, and once it finishes, the third light should light up. Now, as you can see, the sound stopped, third light's lit up, and if I click the button again, everything goes up. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't have an automated system to do that. Now, so you've got the lights which tell you what happens, you've got the lock to make you the only player that can access it, and you've got these. These you can modify, and this tells you how long each section will last for. Now, this one is 500 ticks minimum. These ones these can be anything you want, really. Now, on top of that, you've got two kinds of barriers. You've got the barriers with chains, so that's the little hanging down bits, and you've got the standard ones. You can get both of these variants in either red and white, or yellow and black. Then adding to that, you've got three kinds of lights. You've got your 2-diode light, your 3-diode light, and your alternate 3-diode light. So that runs all the crossing systems, and eventually we'll be able to activate and shut down automatically with a train running over. Anyways, back to my brother for the end of this review.
Alright, here we are to finish off this mod review. We're going to take a look at these signs here. If you've ever been to a train station before, you probably have a pretty good guess of what they do. They're going to tell you when the next train's coming. Unfortunately, they're not that automated yet, so you're going to have to work with them manually. To do this, we're going to need a Railway Workers tool, and we can right-click on it and edit it. You can see here that it's added a train or an instance, and we can number the train. In this case, let's try 19. And you press the tab key to cycle which option you're selecting. This is now the platform number to number, in this case F to G, and we can add in our own little bit of text. Alright, up next we've got the time that the train is coming in. In this case, it's not going to be here till like 5 o'clock. And this is on a 24-hour basis, so 5 o'clock will actually be 1700 hours. And we are going to leave that as is. Once we're done, we can click the set button here, and it's up. Alright, if we want to remove the train, of course, we can open it, click the remove button. We can click edit, remove, select our train here, and have it not work. Alright, so yeah, this part of the mod is going to be worked on here. Anyways, if you have extra mods, you can scroll up and down. This changes your language here. I wish. And yeah, that's the basics of this sign. I'm hoping it does more in the future because right now it doesn't. And again, it is 24-hour basis. If you don't know, quick overview 24 hours is take whatever time it is and then add 12. If it's less than 12 o'clock or if it's in the AM at all, don't do anything to it. Anything in PM, add 12 to it. This means that 1 o'clock becomes 1300 hours, but 1 o'clock AM in the morning is still 1 o'clock. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. What did you think? Did you like it? Do you have any mods that you want to see us review in the future? Hope you guys let us know in the comments below. And thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.